Hey YouTube, I'm back with another budget deck profile. Today we're going to be doing the updated Scarlet CoCo deck. So this one, I changed it a little bit to make it a little bit better because it... Honestly, if you go pure witches, it just doesn't really seem that good because if you have to wait until you have like 10 or less cards in the deck, it's not that good because you're usually going to outdraw your opponents, so you're probably going to deck out. So I wanted to try to make the deck be able to do a final turn earlier. So I changed up the grade 3 lineup, I changed up the grade 1 and 2 lineup a little bit, and this is what I came up with. So to start off, we're still running 4 Scarlet CoCo. She's still the main Vanguard that you want to see in either your opening hand or by the time you ride up to grade 3. She has that when ridden from a grade 2, you get to draw. So you replenish straight up when you ride her on top of a grade 2. That's the main reason why. And then for the gift marker, you're usually going to go protect 1. And the reason why we do that is because of this card. So Wisteria, which Zozo is in here at 3 copies instead of 4 copies, because she isn't really, in playtesting the deck, she isn't really that good at closing out games. She's designed to be the second ride to try to push for game. But sometimes things won't go your way where like either you're not checking triggers or the opponent's checking triggers on damage. And then you just don't have enough gift markers. Especially if you're going to protect 1, what you want to do is you want to try to hold your gift markers in your hand for her effect. And that it kind of contradicts with the way the Protect Clan's playstyle is, where you usually always have PGs like every turn to block the opponent so you can make them commit more and then second guess themselves on should they go for final push or should they go all out and use all their effects and burn all their resources. You know, that's that kind of thing. So you kind of have to hang back and hold those gifts in hand. And I don't really like that too much. So Zozo, although Zozo has amazing pressure because of her other Vanguard or Rearguard effect, is when she hits a Vanguard, kind of +1 to draw a card. That's straight up just +1 right there. That's really, really good. So 3 of her, down from 4 because I'm adding a new surprise finisher card. So Victorious Deer, just like in my Tsukuyomi deck or my Imperial Daughter deck in the past, this card is just way too good to not use. I think the only OTT deck that can get away playing competitive without this is the Magus build, because the Magus deck has that like super amount of drive check capability combined with 12 crit. That's just pretty scary. Anyway, Victorious Deer gives you that extra push. There's cards that we run to help you get the grade 3 in Soul, so you can do that effect earlier rather than later. And the fact that you can use this effect as a rear guard helps a lot. So 2 of him, so you'll be able to at least do the effect in the late game if you damage check one of these. You don't want to run too many because you don't want to have to ride this early. I mean, you'll get the gift, but you know, then the deck doesn't really do much because now you don't have your Scarlet CoCo. You don't have your draw engine basically. So 9 grade 3s, that's pretty common for my OTT builds. If you've watched a lot of my deck profiles, I tend to do 4, 3, 2, that specific lineup. For grade 2s, 4 Topaz Witch PiPi. She's the best turn 2 ride, because if you ride on top of her with a witch unit like CoCo or Zozo, in particular, CoCo will be the best. You get to Soul Blast 1 to draw a card. So this makes the deck like a soulless build in a way. It harkens back to that old school the Witches style in the old Vanguard, original Vanguard. Next we're running 4 Yellow Witch Mei. Just because she helps you cycle through as a rear guard, she can look at the top card of your deck and put it on the top of the bottom of the deck. I wanted to give the deck that classic OTT ability, and she's a witch card, so she's a natural fit in here. You can drop her to 3 though if you favor this next card at 4 copies, which I'm considering doing that. So Lilac Witch BiBi. The only reason why I prefer Mei at 4 is because yes, this is better as a turn 2 ride, and it's also better in the long run as an attacker because it can hit a Protect or an Excel Vanguard without a booster. But Mei just gives you that ability to dig through the deck more, to look for the triggers so you can get those drive checks. Sometimes that might not be needed, but you can also strategize it with, you know, like CoCo's main phase skill, for instance. Right? Because you can, like, if you check, let's say you look at the top card and it's Victorious Deer and you don't already have one. Let's say this one's in the damage zone, so you can't get this one. Now you can use, knowing that, you can use her skill to draw into this plus the following card. So to ensure that you have this in your hand, rather than trying to like not know where it is and having to gamble into it later on drive check, right? Or just drawing, if you like cycle it down and now there's like a critical there, now you'll just draw the critical, right? So there are, it just adds more elements of strategy to the deck, which I feel is the way Oracle Think Tank is meant to be played. So that's why we're running 4 of her. So max copies of her, but you can choose to do the opposite. You can run 3 or 4 of that if you want. Or if you don't have Victorious Deer and you want to run all witches, take it out completely, run 4 Zozo, and run 4 of that one. That would be like the more... if you can't find Victorious Deer, I know it's a pretty old card now, but it's still very, very dirt cheap. Next, 4 Coral Witch ZaZa, the new Sentinel that draws and discards ones. So the better grade 1 Sentinel happens to be a witch. The original one is a Magus. So this one, it helps this deck with consistency-wise, but you tend to not want to have to discard these if you can afford to keep them in your hand, because you're gonna be blocking with these more than the gifts if you're gonna try the Zozo play. But you gotta run 4. There's no reason not to. It's a witch card. Next, we run Sprout Witch RoRo. So this is the best turn 1 ride. It has an in-soul effect. When your grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Witch is placed, you can Soul Blast 1. Call this card from Soul to R. So these 2 are your ideal ride targets. I should also mention that this one has a, if your hand has 4 or more, this gets 2k. So this can become a 10k during your turn. It would be nice if it wasn't during your turn, because I feel like Protect needs a little bit more ways to have more defensive options. Next, I'm running 2 Lime Witch ReRe. So she's a witch card. She's a 15k shield. Not a whole lot to explain here. There's not that many other options to run besides this card, which is why I'm running this in here for now. But 2 of her just to round out the witch lineup. So the only witch card that I'm not using is a grade 3 common, which I was using before, but I found Victorious Deer is just a whole lot better, consistency-wise, just to help the deck get that edge and have an extra win condition. And to help with Victorious Deer, I'm running 3 White Hare of Inaba. So this card's really good because at the end of the battle that it boosted a grade 3, you can put a card from your hand into the soul and draw a card. So if you have this in hand, and let's say you have this also in hand, and your opponent's sitting at like 4 damage, or maybe 5 damage, or maybe 3 damage, doesn't really matter, you can use the White Rabbit to put this into the soul and then draw a card, and you might draw like a shield or something, you know, or like another grade 2 or whatever. The point is, I mean, you could even draw like another CoCo, that would be even more ideal. The point is, it helps you get grade 3s. You want to filter some grade 3s into the soul as fast as you can for Victorious Deer, so you can make Victorious Deer go off sooner rather than later, and try to close the game out faster. Try to speed up the speed at which this deck can win. And now we come to the trigger lineup, and this is probably going to be no surprise to people if they see this running. RoRo Protect Clan, we draw a ton of cards. The trigger lineup is pretty self-explanatory, guys. There's only one way to run criticals in this budget build, and that's to go 12 critical. You gotta go 12 critical. Don't run any of those draws. You don't need those draws. You have so much cycling. You have so much draw power. You want to critical kill. You want to use Victorious Deer to check the top 7 and get and ensure that you have your 2 criticals to put on the top of the deck for that double crit play and push for game and end that game right there. So that's why we run 12. Self-explanatory. 4 heals, of course, because heals are still the way that you survive. And then the starter is supposed to be the rabbit starter for these guys, apparently. I don't know why. I don't know why Little Witch Lulu's not in the game yet. But anyway, it seems like with the coming of Asha and Chronojet and Altmile, they're probably going to start printing newer starters, or at least different artworks with the new effects. So hopefully Little Witch Lulu will be the one that has the, you know, get the quick shield text on it. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that deck profile. That was my budget witch deck. Witches are kind of the bottom tier in terms of the OTT. I consider like Imperial Daughter above these guys, and then on top of them would be like Magus and Tsukuyomi on top of that. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed the deck profile. Let me know in the comments your suggestions for future deck profiles or decks that you would like to see on this channel. Or if you want some more like explanation type things where I explain the columns or give the reasoning of why I run the trigger lamps the way I do for some of these decks. And I'll catch you guys next time. So thanks for watching.